Right now, the day's biggest news stories from a Vegas perspective. This is the Vegas Take with Sharp and Shapiro.
Oh, yeah. Good morning. What's up, Las Vegas? It is Corona Thursday. Thank you so much for joining us. Let me tell you something, man. We are broadcasting live, and like I said yesterday, I'll say the same thing today. This show is more about you than us. A chance for you to vent, a chance for you to be opinionated, to share your thoughts. Some of you, I'm sure, are scared. Some of you are very concerned about what's going on, not just in Las Vegas, not just in the state of Nevada, across the country. It's just the new norm that we're living in now. So certainly we're going to have phone lines open and take a bunch of calls throughout the show today. And if you work and you're concerned, or if you own a small business, we're going to have an attorney on in hour number 2. His name is David Dornack. He's an employment lawyer from Fisher Phillips, and he's going to give you the information that you need to know during these difficult times. Coming up in hour number 3, we're going to speak with Darcy Spears. She usually comes on our show every week. It's her Dirty Dining segment, but this is going to be a very different segment. Many of you are ordering food to go, to pick up. So what are the things that you need to look for? What are the things you need to be careful about? Really important tip she's going to give us coming up in hour number 3. Donald Trump holding a press conference right now as we speak. The logistics of that press conference pretty much are the FDA, talking about getting to a fast-track antiviral treatment for this coronavirus, but there are no cures yet. There's no cure for the coronavirus yet. They're not even close to that. But we're going to talk about that press conference coming up here in just a few minutes. Before we get to, the big local stories of the day, the big local news, last night with a friend of the show, Chris, we were hanging out a little bit. There's literally nothing to do in this town. No entertainment, and we'll get to that. But we said, why don't we drive down to the Strip? I've lived in this town close to 20 years. Close to 20 years. This is my home. And had a conversation with Chris. I said, why don't we drive down to the Strip? Let's drive down to Fremont Street. This is a ghost town. These are unprecedented towns that we're living in. Drove down to the Strip, and I got to tell you, it was freaky. Like a zombie apocalypse. There's nobody, and I mean nobody, walking the Strip. Maybe one or two people like joggers, locals. Everything closed. Everything shut down. We didn't see cabs, a bunch of cabs like you normally see, or public transportation. Nothing going on downtown last night as well. We went down to Fremont Street. I didn't see one person walking Fremont Street. Everything gated off. All we saw were a few security guards down there. I mean, these are unprecedented times. We'll probably, hopefully, never see anything like this again for the rest of our lifetime. But this was crazy. Every single one of these casinos shut down. Some of these casinos you poke through, you still see those slot machines that are on. But nobody in there playing, of course, because they're closed. Nobody staying at their hotels. Nobody going into their restaurants. Everything shut down. And it's scary. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. I try to be honest on this show every day. This is scary. You have no access to entertainment, no access to whether it be movie theaters or something simple like a concert or a show. That's not the biggest concern. Obviously, the biggest concern is the health and well-being of our neighbors and all of us, family, friends. But there is literally nowhere to go to. The only places that are really open right now, for the most part, are, shopping, food shopping, supermarkets, gas stations. For the most part, everything else has closed down. But I said yesterday, in regards to Governor Sisolak's press conference, I said, what happens if one of these restaurants decides to remain open and defy what the governor's advice? Well, it turns out that's not law. There's no martial law here. If you own a restaurant, you have a right to stay open, even though the governor has told you, no, we want you to close. You don't have to close. Doesn't matter whether you're a smoke shop. It doesn't matter whether you're a restaurant. Doesn't matter whether you own an arcade. You are not allowed. I shouldn't say that. They recommend that you shouldn't be open, but there's no law that says you have to close. Now, I find that to be a little bit troubling because there probably are some places that are going to remain open. And there are. So what is essential and what is non-essential? Well, we figured that out. And some of the essential services and sectors include, but are not limited to, of course, the fire services, law enforcement agencies, emergency medical services, public safety agencies, of course, healthcare services, and the businesses out there that are doing a great job providing food and shelter and critical social services, for example, for the homeless. Obviously, any utility places. So if your air conditioning isn't working or your heat isn't working, you need someone to come out there and for maintenance or repair services. Those places are going to be open. I mentioned the grocery stores, the hardware stores, the convenience shops. Obviously, the pharmacies are going to remain open. The post office is going to remain open. I already mentioned gas stations, banks, the veterinary services, laundromats. All these types of places are essential places. So those are going to remain open. So what is non-essential? And any type of form of entertainment or hospitality is non-essential. Strip clubs are not essential. Athletic facilities, not essential. That includes gyms, beauty and personal care, retail facilities. Those are all non-essentials. But here's the weird part about this, and I'll repeat it again. There's no martial law. There's no law that's been put in effect that said these places have to close. That's what makes this thing really weird. So if you're selfish, you're going to keep your place open. That's what I call it right now. I understand. You have to earn money. I get it. You have to earn and put food on the table for your family. I get all that. But guess what? The health and safety of the citizens here in Las Vegas should come first. And what we're learning is that the words of Governor Sisolak were just guidance, except casinos. That is very problematic. That is extremely problematic to me. I think it should be put into law. So that's one aspect of this whole thing. And then we have Mayor Carolyn Goodman, who is sparring verbally a little bit with Governor Sisolak. She disagrees. She disagrees with the fact that of this 30-day shutdown of these casinos. She disagrees with the verbiage that Sisolak is using when it comes to these small businesses. Here's what she had to say yesterday. She said, quote, "I know we and they cannot survive any total shutdown of the economy for any length of time beyond the immediate week or two." She also went on to say in her city council meeting, "So many working in the hospitality industry, more than likely in big hotels, and also those mom and pop small privately owned businesses, these are most definitely at the greatest risk. They cannot survive without any lengthy shutdown." Now, Mayor Goodman's been critical in the past of the media's coronavirus coverage. She said it's absolutely destroying us. I completely disagree with her. This is a problem. Don't you find this a problem, folks, when you have the governor and then the mayor of Las Vegas on completely different ends of the spectrum as far as their opinions go? This is an issue. This is a problem. And then let's go to our local host. Now, I've been very critical of some members of the media in this town. There are some members in the media in this town. The Review-Journal wrote a pathetic article, what a shocker, this time about some of the local radio hosts in this town. Do you think it's hard to do a 1-hour show a day? When you include breaks and ads, you're on the air for about 47 or 48 minutes a day. And some of these hosts are making it like it's World War III. You know what I call that? Zero-talent buffoons. That's what I call that. And I'm not trying to be mean here, but this is a joke. And I'm gonna call these people out by name because the Review-Journal did, and people probably want to know who I'm talking about. There's a guy by the name of T.C. Martin. He does a show on a local radio station here in town, 1 hour a day, which is more like 47 or 48 minutes a day. So in this article in the Review-Journal this morning, they're talking about how he's done shows since 1993. And he said, well, how are you dealing with this? This is such a tough time for you. How are you able to talk on the radio for 48 minutes a day? Because it's so difficult, so tough to do that. His response, it really goes back to being diversified, to being able to talk about more than what's just currently going on. Well, yeah, no crap. But here's where he contradicts himself, which made me laugh. He said he'll rely on guests to fill time. That's what he said. He said, quote, "I'm going to rely on guests to fill time." You're on the air 48 minutes a day. Let me repeat that. We're on the air 3 hours a day. 48 minutes a day. And you're getting guests to fill time? Boy, that doesn't really sound diversified to me, does it? Another local talk show host who's on the air about 48 minutes a day, his name is Tyler Bischoff. He said, who knows what we're going to talk about? Well, boy, that's really good show prep. Let's just show up to the radio station. Who knows what we're going to talk about today? Maybe we could talk about a UNLV trade. Let's talk about the 2025 upcoming night season. What are these people doing? You're talking disservice to the community. And then the program director over there said, he gives this kid, and that's what he is, a kid, a lot of credit because he replayed some UNLV game from 1990 on his Twitter page. Gave him tons of credit for doing that. I guess anybody could do that if they want. Let's just go back to some games. Let's play some Aces games from last year. Maybe my program director would give me a lot of credit. I mean, this is ridiculous. And it's frustrating to me because if you have any ability, any talent at all, any ability, you're able to talk to the people of Las Vegas about your concerns from a human element perspective. You don't freak out if you're on the air 48 minutes a day and say, well, I'm just getting guests to fill time. Don't brag to me about your resume. Don't brag to me about how you're so diversified in radio. When you can't fill 48 minutes a day, you are pathetic, and you shouldn't be on the radio. And there are some members of the media in this town that are doing a fantastic job during this time. You know, I'll commend Brian Salmon over there at Channel 3, Chris Matthews and Ron Futrell at Channel 8. They're doing their job very well. What are they doing? They're interviewing some of the Knights players. They're interviewing some of the athletes in this town from a human perspective. What is it like for you, Ryan Reeves? What is it like for you to be sitting at your home not playing professional hockey? It's a human story. You don't, if you asked Brian Salmon, he wouldn't tell you, who's the sports anchor there at Channel 3, he wouldn't say, I'm just getting guests to fill time. But you know what? I'm very diversified. That's not the way he would talk. He said, I'm interviewing these people to give my story, to share the story with all of you. The concerns that you have are the same concerns that some of these Vegas Golden Knights players have. It's the same thing. But, this is the type of story that the Review Journal puts out there. People who say, quote, who knows what we're going to talk about today? Or some people that say, I'm diversified, but I'm getting guests to fill time. These are some of the quote unquote members of the media in this town. And, I don't want to, I don't want to labor this too much. Jason Stein is our producer. But, I have brought up this guy's name from time to time. His name is Wayne Allen Root. I've called him a scam artist because that's exactly what he is. And now my understanding, Stein, is that he has endorsed a product that apparently claiming to cure the coronavirus. Can you tell us what exactly this is all about? I don't think your mic is on. No, I don't think your mic is working. Speaking of a scam. Speaking of a scam of a producer, he didn't prepare properly. I don't know. I did see you prepare. Well, listen, we're just trying to fill time. I'm very diversified, but we're just trying to fill time right now. So, that's why I want my co-host to talk and my producer to talk. I'm diversified, but I'm just trying to fill time. That's really all I'm trying to do. That's all I'm trying to do. But anyway, as far as the story goes, we'll get these technical By the way, speaking of, there you go, you're on.
All right,
speaking of technical difficulties, JD, why don't you give Stein your microphone?
Here you go, Stein.
So Stein, talk to me about.
No, I did a mic check earlier.
That's
I don't
all
get
right.
it.
Talk to me about Wayne. All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take, Sharp and Shapiro. We had some technical difficulties there, as we'll get to what I was talking about to Wayne Allen Root in a minute. But just to give people an understanding of what we're dealing with here, those articles that were written about a couple hosts, they actually are allowed to use their studios. Okay, we're not allowed to use the studio. We are literally broadcasting from my kitchen. These are the type of things that happen when you're not allowed to go into a studio to do a radio show. You get some technical difficulties. Keep in mind, it's not martial law. No, there are no legal laws out there that say people can't do radio shows in their studio, but we're not allowed to. So I just want that to be known to the listeners. We are not allowed to use the studio.
There are too many people in the building. If the three of us are there, it puts us over the limit. Well, some kind of magical limit.
It's actually 4.
Oh, yeah, with campaign as well.
But the people
so 4 plus, whatever.
Yeah,
but the salespeople that are there or whatever.
But the people that are on other stations and some of those stations that you can't even hear across the street that are on the air for 48 minutes a day, they're allowed to use their studios. But, hey, what can I do? We can't use ours. But anyway, we're talking a little bit about Wayne Allen Root. And, I called him a scam artist months ago for a lot of different reasons. And the story that came out yesterday proves exactly what I've said about this guy all along. Stein, do you want to fill people in on what I'm talking about?
Wayne Allen Root is he's a Vegas-based guy, right? He's a radio host for Newsmax TV, where he does like a radio show on camera.
He also writes for the Review Journal.
He does write. Yes, he is a columnist for the Review Journal. That's exactly right.
That shouldn't be a shocker.
So he's backing this product, a silver product, from some doctor named Dr. Gordon Peterson. And basically it's like some kind of silver supplement that if you take it, the claim is that it will cure coronavirus. And so Wayne Allen Root supports that, as well as, well, here's one of his tweets. If I ever did get coronavirus, I would use massive intravenous vitamin C plus massive doses of alkaline structured silver. Kills virus and is inexpensive. Major success in South Korea already using these methods. And, health officials are saying there's absolutely nothing to suggest that silver would work on corona. In fact, the only thing that would work would be a vaccine, which, of course, hasn't been fully developed
yet. What a shocker. A conspiracy theorist scumbag is actually endorsing a product that claims that they actually can cure the coronavirus.
Now, televangelist Jim Baker, you know who that is.
Of course.
He actually is getting sued right now.
Wow.
Because he was hawking this silver product on his show.
I hope Wayne Allen Root gets sued. I really do. And by the way, anybody out there, make no mistake about it, anybody out there that is trying to exploit this situation, for example, the people out there that are selling toilet paper for twice as much as it goes for in the supermarkets, or masks, I put Wayne Allen Root right in that category. He is exploiting people.
Yeah,
he is taking advantage of people.
Or the guy that bought 17,700 bottles of hand sanitizer, put them in a storage unit, and had that seized by the government. Hope that guy does time. There's actually some truth to what Wayne Allen Root's saying. IV of ascorbic acid with vitamin C has been shown to at least help some of the symptoms. And those are also a couple of cures that are in the making, one of which I believe is called remesvir, which is kind of an HIV type of product, and another product called it's like hydroxyline chloride, which is a product that was that's used to treat malaria, that has actually been shown to. They've been testing it on patients over in China, but it has been shown to increase lung function in about 92% of patients. So there is some hope for some type of cure with the coronavirus. But you are totally right; it is not an alkaline silver, and I think Wayne Root is just trying to put some money in his pocket.
Oh, scumbag!
Absolutely.
And it's sad that there are people out there, people that live here in Las Vegas, that do shows that call themselves members of the media and align themselves with these types of companies and endorse these types of companies, only to put money in their pocket. And make no mistake about it, this is taking advantage of people during a very difficult time. That's exactly what this is. People are vulnerable right now. People are scared. So when you hear some idiot say that he has a cure for the coronavirus, there are some people out there that maybe not are very well informed that are going to listen to that are going to believe that sort of thing. Anybody who supports this guy, anybody who advertises with this guy, shame on you. Shame on you for supporting a guy who is exploiting people during this very difficult time. There's a lot of people that are doing a great job in the media in this town, but Wayne Allen Root ain't one of them. Some of these sports hosts, some of them are doing a good job. Some of them are not. And I said to begin this whole thing, weeks ago, I said, when this virus started to become national news and talked about on a daily basis, we're going to find out who some of these hosts are, some of these members of the media are. We're going to find out who's capable of actually speaking to people from a human standpoint and not being robotic on the air. I think we found that out. I think we found out in this town. I think we found out throughout the country. If all you're capable of doing is talking about Raiders trades, and all you're capable of doing is talking about Tom Brady, and you talk 5 minutes about the coronavirus and then 45 minutes talking about the NFL, I think that speaks volumes to who you are. And this stuff's got to stop. Donald Trump just had another press conference, and they're in the middle of a press conference right now where Trump is answering some questions. A lot of this has to do with the vaccine. But the vaccine trial is expected to take at least a year. That's what they said in this press conference. Folks, this is the norm. We're living in the norm right now. And we want to take your phone calls. We're going to talk about that national response. We're going to talk about spring breakers and people in Florida hanging out on the beaches, not listening to our politicians and to doctors out there, particularly younger people. We're going to talk about that. And we have some Trump audio that we're going to play for you coming up next as well. I also want to open up the phone lines. I said this show is more about you than about anybody else. We want to give you an opportunity to voice your opinions, your concerns, ask us questions. In no way, shape, or form are we professionals, but we want to hear your concerns. We want to hear your thoughts. 702-257-5396 is the number to call. Again, if you do want to be a part of the program, now's the time to call in. 702-257-5396. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back right after this. You're listening to the Vegas Take. Sharp and Shapiro, glad you could join us on a Thursday. We'll take some phone calls at 702-257-5396 in a moment. Look, I get it. This isn't really a time where we should be, 24/7 attacking politicians. I understand that. I get it. At the same time, there has to be some accountability. People are dying. A lot of people are sick. These are troubled times we're living in. And was Trump's response the right response? Was it timely? Well, I want you to listen to a little bit of audio. This is Donald Trump, over the course of the last month or so, some of the things he said about the coronavirus. And I think it's very important that you listen very carefully. A lot of contradictions here. The words of the President of the United States are very, very important. You can't tell me otherwise. These are some of the things Donald Trump has said over the course of the last month and a half in his own words. Have a listen to this.
We are coordinating with the Chinese government and working closely together on the coronavirus outbreak in China. My administration will take all necessary steps to safeguard our citizens from this threat. Now, the virus that we're talking about having to do, a lot of people think that goes away in April with the heat. Because of all we've done, the risk to the American people remains very low. People die from the flu. And this is very unusual. And it is a little bit different, but in some ways it's easier and in some ways it's a little bit tougher. But we have it so well under control. View this the same as the flu. When somebody sneezes, I try and bail out as much as possible. It's going to disappear. One day it's like a miracle. It will disappear. And from our shores, it could get worse before it gets better. It could maybe go away. We'll see what happens. Nobody really knows. The fact is, the greatest experts, I've spoken to them all, nobody really knows. We're ordering a lot of supplies. We're ordering a lot of elements that, frankly, we wouldn't be ordering unless it was something like this. But we're ordering a lot of different elements of medical. Now the Democrats are politicizing the coronavirus. And this is their new hoax. If you're healthy, you will probably go through a process and you'll be fine. You take a solid flu vaccine, you don't think that would have an impact or much of an impact on corona?
No, he's asking the question, when is it going to be deployable? And that is going to be at the earliest a year to a year and a half, no matter how fast you go.
You think that's right? And as you said, because treatment's going to be available before the vaccine.
Well, I think treatment in many ways might be more exciting. If, we have thousands or hundreds of thousands of people that get better just by, sitting around and even going to work. Some of them go to work, but they get better.
People might be getting better if they're sitting around and they're going to work. The words of the President of the United States a month ago. We're taking your calls at 702-257-5396. As I mentioned before, I'll mention it again. This show is about you. We want to hear from you. Let's start off with Mike. Mike, you're first up on the Vegas Take. What's going on?
Hey, what's up, Mike?
Hey, Brian and JD. Okay, Brian, we can trash the president, but I got an article from 2014 from The Hill saying Obama's Ebola problem.
I'm not doing whataboutism today, sir. With all due respect, sir, I'm not doing whataboutism. We're talking about the coronavirus.
All administrations have problems when they're trying to respond to them.
I have never said that all administrations do not have problems. We are talking about the coronavirus. I'm not going to do whataboutism and talk about something that Obama did 6 years ago. No.
Let me say this. Thank God for Carolyn Goodman. Okay? Because, like I said, I was born and raised here. All my friends, everybody that I know in this town, Cizliak is gone in 2022.
Okay, that might be true. Mike, you might be right. That might be true, but what does that have to do with right now? Do you think Carolyn Goodman has the power to stop the governor? I get what you're saying.
No, she doesn't have the power, but what I'm saying, if you read the Las Vegas Sun article and what she was saying in that article, just read the article.
I did, and I know exactly what you're talking about. And I don't disagree with everything she says, but here's the problem, Mike. The problem is that if we open up these casinos in a week, and this pandemic, and that's what it is a pandemic, if it's getting worse, how can you solidify in saying that, well, the casinos should be open? You think the casinos should be open as this problem continues to get worse?
Brian, we talked about, okay, we talked about the young people, why they're not responding. In this coronavirus, and only thing I can kind of compare it to, and this may be not a fair comparison, it's fair to compare it to, but in the early '80s, when I was young in the early '80s, in the mid '80s, when we were afraid, when people was getting something we didn't know, they were dying. When we're like, what is going on? People were terrified.
You're talking like HIV, yeah.
It was called AIDS. This disease, I'm sorry, a lot of people are not going to take it if it's not guaranteed that you get.
Right, well, let's get Mike. Mike, let's get down to the root of the question that I want to ask you, and that is, you think Sisolak is wrong in closing down these casinos for 30 days. What do you think he should do? What do you think? If you were the governor, what would you do right now?
If I was the governor, I would say, hey, if you have a compromised immune system, our older community, please try to stay out of the public. Please keep yourself safe. We're going to continue. We're going to have some safety measures, but we cannot cripple. You're going to bank, Brian. Where are we going to get the tax revenue? I know you're concerned about the coronavirus.
Mike, I get what you're saying.
We are the state that depends on tax revenue. Where are we going to? It's not like we have income.
Mike, let me be very clear. Mike, it's not like I completely disagree with you. Okay, I don't. There's a lot of people that feel the same way you feel. I appreciate your phone call, but listen, the governor's mind is not going to change, Mike. We have to live with it for right now. But again, I don't disagree.
And the reason why kids, or not kids, but we'll call it millennials, are not taking this seriously is because the reporting for the last 2 months out of China, where the virus started and where 80,000 people were infected, was that the young people are not vulnerable to death because of this virus, and that is why they are not taking it serious. That's why you're seeing spring breakers. That's why you're seeing what's happening in Florida and South Padre, Texas. Now, I have seen recently on Twitter especially, whether this is true or not, the narrative is changing that young people are susceptible to this virus, and I hope that, again, it's a matter of going all in or all out. If you don't go all in or all out, you're not going to stop the virus.
I don't.
And people that are under 30 years old, they have to understand that if they really do want to protect their elderly loved ones as well.
Mike, the bottom line here is we have to live with what the governor has put in place. 257-5396. Next caller is Charles. Charles, you're next up on the Vegas Take. What's going on?
Hey, what's up, Charles?
Charles, did we lose you? 702-257-5396. Let's go to Alan. Alan, you are next up on the Vegas Take. What's going on?
What's up, Alan?
Just an observation. Let us say the governor has our best interests at heart, so does the mayor. Let's say that in 30 days, the governor reports that we have control and there are no new cases, and he basically states that the casinos can now open up and it's business as usual. So social distancing is now suspended. We rely on people coming from around the world. There's a problem around the world. So now does the governor say casinos are now open, business as usual, but if you're from Europe, if you're from China, we can't let you in. But
that's a very good point. No, listen, that's a good point.
Again,
no, you're right.
Again. So
listen, you're right. See, here's I agree with what you just said too. The problem here is that a lot of people aren't thinking like that. Sadly, a lot of people are thinking selfishly, about money in their own pocket, and I understand that. But with that being said, you make a very good point. This isn't just a Las Vegas problem. This isn't just a problem in this country. It's throughout the world. And how much do we rely on tourism?
Well, but again, that's just the Las Vegas Strip that relies on tourism. There's a lot of businesses outside of the Strip that are made successful because of locals. Like, for example, Red Rock Casino. Does Red Rock Casino necessarily rely on tourism? I would say the answer to that is no.
Yeah, no, I agree, but I also there's different sides to this issue,
right.
And I think he made some good points. Listen, I think Mike made some good points as well. We need to be somewhere in the middle here, but this is about you guys. We want to hear your thoughts, your opinions. 257-5396. I believe Wayne is next on the Vegas Take. Wayne, what's going on?
Hey, what's up, Wayne?
Hey, good morning, you guys. I just want to add that Las Vegas went through something worse than this virus at the end of the 70s. I was 100 miles north of Vegas when that happened. I mean, how many things are we going to dodge? And then last night, the control tower at McCarran, they hauled them guys out of there.
All right, well, Wayne, I understand that, Vegas has been through some tough times. I get what you're saying, Wayne, and October 1 is something that comes to mind for me. But, Wayne, nobody has ever had to deal with what we're dealing with right now, certainly not in my lifetime. You have to admit this is a very unique and serious situation, and, I understand what you're saying. Vegas is very resilient. This country is very resilient. But we've never had to deal with anything like this before. You would admit that.
I sort of very much do. We've been up against it before because I'm in and out of the foreign war zones.
Right.
And there's such a thing that I have been studying. I tried to explain to you. I'm in the medical world, but I'm looking at things a lot differently than what normal people would do because I've been studying foreign viruses and diseases because I'm in and out of the war zone.
No, and listen, I totally respect that, sir, and I understand your sentiment and what you're trying to say. The only point I'm trying to make is we have not been in times like this ever before. This is an extremely serious situation. 702-257-5396 is the number to call. Your chance to be heard. Let's go to Charles. Charles, you're next up on the Vegas Take. What's going on?
Hey, what's up, Charles?
Yeah. Hi, guys. Amazon and eBay, are they non-essential or essential? I mean, how many does your package get touched? Number two, is that stadium out there essential or non-essential?
Let's start with those two. As far as some of these delivery companies out there, whether it be Amazon or eBay or whatever, no, I don't think any of that stuff is essential. That's not essential at all. We talked about what is essential right now.
No,
food,
water. They've turned
gym.
themselves into essential because they've changed their structure. They're not delivering non-essential items, and they're only delivering what are considered essential items, which has actually made them essential. And I believe that construction is also essential.
Listen, we had calls from construction workers.
They're also not brick and mortar, though, either.
Right. We've had construction workers that have called in yesterday. Listen, I'm not an expert when it comes to what's essential or non-essential, but, I mean, logic just tells you food, water, medical, 911, police, emergency personnel. These are the things that are essential. I mean, this is a really weird town we're living in, right? A lot of weird things going on. But appreciate the phone. Go ahead. On
the silver is used in bandages and burn creams, and it's a mild antiseptic, anti-infective orally.
Right.
But, I don't know about killing the
Well, all I'm saying is the reason why I brought that up is because we have a local radio host who is endorsing a product, and they're claiming that it cures the coronavirus. That's beyond irresponsible, and it's a scam. That's exactly what you call it. We have a lot of people, I shouldn't say a lot of people, but there's a small percentage of people in this country that take advantage of people during difficult times, and Wayne Allen Root is one of those people. Listen, man, I appreciate the phone call. You posed some very interesting and good questions, and no, I don't think construction should be essential. You're right. 702-257-5396 is the number to call. Again, 257-5396. Let's go to Brady. Brady, you are next up on the Vegas Take.
Hey, what's up, Brady?
Good morning, gentlemen. Hey, colloidal silver is the oldest form of antibiotics known to man. It's been used all the way back to the time of Cleopatra.
Antibiotics do not cure the coronavirus, my friend. There's no
cure, Brian. It's not cure. So
well, that's what Wayne Allen Root is saying. That's exactly what we're talking about.
Wayne Allen Root is wrong. I sell colloidal silver. My company sells colloidal silver, and it's nano-sized colloidal silver. So
I don't have a problem with that, Brady, but you're probably not advertising it as a cure for corona, right? You wouldn't do that because that would be irresponsible.
What it does is when a virus comes into contact with colloidal silver, it hits it, and the metallic properties of the silver kills the virus.
I understand, but this isn't. I get it. I don't disagree with you, but this isn't just any virus. This is the coronavirus. There is no cure. And when you go on the air or when you go on social media and your personality, whatever the heck Wayne Allen Root is, and you endorse a product that claims that they have the cure for coronavirus, you are a scumbag. There's no other word to describe it.
Well, he needs to rephrase it.
Well, there's a lot of things you need to rephrase because he lies on the radio every day.
Wayne on this one either. So hang on, I'm a friend of Wayne. I was disagreeing with him yesterday. He said he was all proud of himself that he was locked inside his house, and he's babbling on the radio about everybody else that's quarantined and saying, "I'm 60 years old and healthy. How come nobody else is working?" And the damn
because he's a moron.
In his house, he's got a radio studio there. So how many people have that advantage? So he needs to kind of tone that rhetoric down. Not everybody can get out.
I hear what you're saying, Brady. Brady, we agree. I hear what you're saying, but I've been saying this about this guy for years. That's all he does is spew hatred and rhetoric that is untrue. Wow, reminds me of somebody else. Commander-in-Chief, 702-257-5396 is the number to call.
Wayne Allen Root went on Twitter to endorse alkaline silver. He tweeted March 9th that if he ever got coronavirus, he would use, quote, massive doses of alkaline structured silver, kills virus, and is inexpensive.
Just absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. 257-5396. Let's go to Brad. Brad, you're next up on the Vegas Take. What's going on?
Hey, what's up, Brad?
Mr. Stein has me bleeping scared. His statements yesterday sounded like he was bleeping serious, and I hope the coronavirus...
Can I ask you a question? No, stay on the line. I want to ask you a serious question. What is so funny about the coronavirus to you that you decide to call into a show and make light of it? I want to ask you that. Can you be serious for 10 seconds? What is so funny to you about the coronavirus?
Is to get a rise out of you, and you're too stupid to see that the only reason I do it
So all people are dying, and people are scared, and your only goal in life is to get a rise out of me. What a loser you are! Do you realize what a loser you are? Get out of your mom's basement.
I've always appreciated the comedic relief.
Well, I don't. Get out of your mom's basement. Get a life, okay?
But apparently, my opinion.
And do something else with your life.
No, comedic relief was yesterday when someone was talking about how Brian's got a can of Coke on his table and he was hoarding toilet paper. That was funny. This guy's just a moron.
He's been doing it for probably 18 months.
All right, roughly. So the number to call if you want to be a part
of
it. The number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation.
I have his phone number. If you want me to give it out or something, maybe that'll stop him from calling in.
702-257-5396 is the number to call. Again, if you want to be a part of the conversation, that number to call, 702-257-5396. Let's go to Nate. Nate, you're next up on the Vegas Take. Nathan, what's going on?
Hey, what's up, Nathan?
Thanks for taking my call. I think
Sure.
Sisolak made the right, painful decision to close all non-essential, and I think casinos are included in that. And I understand how painful that is for our city, for our state, for our economy. But I think that we have an advantage right now of seeing the mistakes that other countries made and have an opportunity to be proactive and deal with this in a more aggressive manner. I guarantee you that Italy wishes that they had been more aggressive.
Well, and the problem with Italy is that an article just came out on Bloomberg that 99% of the 3,000 people that have died in Italy of the coronavirus all had pre-existing underlying health conditions. That means that roughly 30 relatively healthy people have died from the coronavirus in coronavirus-stricken Italy. And if we're 2 or 3 weeks behind Italy, by the same logic, considering their fatality rate's roughly 8.5%, and ours at this point is 1.49%, we'll have roughly 4 people die, relatively healthy people will die of the coronavirus in 2 or 3 weeks. Now, does that warrant what's going on right now? But I think you're right, and I wouldn't say other countries, I would say other cities, like what's going on in New York City right now, where they've got 7,000, or they're testing 7,500 a day, but they're up to 4,000 cases just in New York, and it's spiking the national numbers. I think that Las Vegas can learn from that.
Appreciate the phone.
But I don't think.
Go ahead, Nathan.
No, I don't think that, because the larger number of people that are dying are people that have, pre-existing conditions that make it more likely that they're going to die, means that it's not as serious a problem. It still is regardless.
Mm-hmm. I don't necessarily disagree with you, Nathan. We appreciate your phone call. Thank you for buzzing in with your opinions.
Good call, Nathan.
702-257-5396 is the number to call. By the way, I want to mention this really quickly because I think it's really important. The Vegas Golden Knights players and personnel have donated pledged $500,000 to help those workers in T-Mobile Arena. Great job by that organization.
Fleury donated $100,000 by himself.
Fantastic job by the Knights organization for doing so, and we really salute them for that. It's great. Stepping up to the plate big time. I think every other professional organization should follow their suit. 257-5396 is the number to call. Let's go to Ron. Ron, you're next up on the Vegas Take. What's going on, Ron?
Hey, what's up, Ron?
Hey, how are you, JD? How you doing, Brian?
Doing well.
What's on your mind?
I was, till yesterday, Brian, a big fan of Wayne Allen Root. And I was driving home, and I'm listening to the guy fear monger. I mean, and I'm thinking, look, I believe personally that there's a system going where they're trying to hurt the United States, the deep state. I believe that. Okay, but Wayne Allen Root, it's like he has no brain, and he's saying, "Oh, this is going to happen. This is our economy's history." He doesn't know that yet.
Ron, can I interject real quickly and say I don't necessarily that he has no brain. It's that he has no conscience and no talent. That's what I think it is.
You could call it a false sense of morality.
I'm just done with him. I'm done with him because.
Well, I'm glad to hear you say that. I'm glad to hear you say that, and I hope others will follow suit, Ron. And I'm glad you see the picture here. For somebody to endorse a product like that, bottom line is it's disgusting, Ron. It's disgusting. I don't know what other word to use.
Yeah, I'm on my way.
Thank you. Yeah, and it's also kind of dangerous if you have say 15,000 people hear that and they think, oh, well, in 2 weeks, that's a false sense of hope. I can do whatever I want to do. I can go to bars, clubs, restaurants. I can have group gatherings of 50 people plus. And the thing, because a virus is on its way, or there is a current virus, that can be dangerous.
Just unbelievable. I'm glad that people like Ron are out there that are finally seeing who this guy really is. 257-5396. Let's go to Gino. Gino, you are next up on the Vegas Take. What's going on, man?
Hey, what's up, Gino?
You guys doing a good job, buddy. I just run this past you. If you probably heard the governor of Texas the other night, so no truck stops. Where are we going to park a truck? Then he says you can't go in the truck stop and eat. You got to go through the drive-through. You ever try
Gino, here's where that's a huge
trailer through a drive-through?
Yeah. Oh, Gino, you bring up a good point. Because Nevada, they're not doing that. The reason why this is so important, and Gino, I'm sure you would agree with me. A lot of these truck drivers are the ones that are delivering the essentials that we need.
Exactly.
We need to take care of these drivers.
They want them to park on the highway, and they're going to cause more accidents. I drove truck semi 22 years in Ohio. Proud team.
So they're not. Thank you, Ron. So, Ron, I'm sorry, they're not doing this in Nevada, though, right, Gino? My understanding is,
I'm just saying how wrong the governors can be. I agree with Mayor Goodman. She's at least trying to protect the city.
Yeah.
You can't even cure a common cold. Take 7 days to go away. How many guys sit at a slot machine? I worked in one down the strip from Mandalay Bay all the way to Stratosphere.
Well, Gino, there's no question, man. There's no question.
It's hard.
Yep.
We got to. If you don't say what people want to hear, you're no damn good. It's just that simple.
Ron, I appreciate. I'm sorry. Did I call you Ron? I apologize,
That's
Gino.
all right, buddy.
Gino,
no problem. We're
Gino, I appreciate your thoughts, Gino. I appreciate your call.
Yeah,
and you're right. We need to take care of these truck drivers. We need to make sure that they have proper sleep, proper places to stop and get rest and get food. These are the people that are delivering those essential products that we need. They're not delivering this stupid silver product that Wayne Allen Root is endorsing. 702-257-5396. Let's go to Matthew. Matthew, you're next up on the Vegas Take. What's going on?
Hey, what's up, Matthew?
Thank you for taking my call. I've been listening to you guys for about a month. I'm new in Vegas, and I just want to make this clear. I'm an independent, and I like how 101.5 plays both sides. But I got a question for you guys, okay? And I don't want you guys to take offense to this. I've noticed that a lot of times that you guys have mentioned throughout the week that the president calling this virus the Chinese virus is racist. However, what I haven't heard you guys mention is that the fact that CNN called it Chinese first. How come nobody's calling CNN racist? They're the first guys to say Chinese virus.
Okay, so the first thing I will say to that is this. A few weeks ago,
that was not this week.
A few weeks ago, we never called it the Chinese virus, but we did cover it a few weeks ago. And here's what my opinion was a few weeks ago. My opinion was it was improper to call it that. Right now, here's where my opinion is. Right now, I don't care. Here's what I care about. I care about how we help people, how we protect people, and how people's lives are saved. There are more important things, in my personal opinion, right now that we need to talk about than whether we call it the Chinese virus or the Wuhan virus. That's where I stand right now.
But you're the one that's mentioned it repeatedly.
I mentioned it 2 weeks ago. Excuse me, sir. I mentioned it 2 weeks ago. We were in a very different situation 2 weeks ago than the situation we're in right now.
I disagreed with him entirely. I have no problem with it being called the Chinese virus. It did
I don't
originate.
Either, 'cause that's where it
did
came from,
originate in Wuhan, China, and then after what's happened the last couple of weeks with reports coming out that this could have been circulated in China as early as October, and then what happened a couple of days ago, where China decided to remove all American journalists from their country. It makes me wonder, what's really taking place. But I have no issue with it calling it the Chinese virus.
Let me be very clear on this one. If we took a half an hour of the show and talked about whether calling it the Chinese virus is racist or not, we would be buffoons. No. Okay, we're not doing that.
I agree, sir. Can I say one more thing?
Please.
Google is down, everybody. Google is down. I want everybody to Google adrenochrome, and you'll find out what's really going on. Adrenochrome. Google it.
All right.
The CEO stepped down. Bill Gates
Okay.
has stepped down. Everybody open your eyes.
All right. Appreciate the phone call. Unfortunately, we're up against a hard break. I promise you, ladies and gentlemen, stay on hold. We will get more to your phone calls in hour number 2. But listen, if you're one of those people in this town, and I know there's many of you out there listening right now, that maybe own a small business, or maybe you're an employee and you're worried about where you're going to get your next paycheck, the guy we have with us on the line right now is the guy to talk to. His name is David Dornak. He is an employment lawyer. We are going to ask him all those difficult questions that you're looking for answers, whether you're an employee or an employer. This is the guy that is going to answer the questions for you. We have this guy on the line next segment for people like you, the good people of Las Vegas that are concerned about how they're going to pay the rent, how are they going to put food on the table. This is the guy we're going to talk to. Again, David Dornak, an employee lawyer from Fisher Phillips, will be joining us next, answering all those difficult questions. And we will get to your calls on the other side of the break. I promise you that. You are listening to the Vegas Take right here on the all-new 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDAWN.